Hi, my name is David Pardo, and my topic will be organ trafficking. What is organ trafficking? Organ trafficking is when a group of people or person illegally sells organs for people to get transplanted into them or for other means that other people need them for. But they primarily take organs from people and they sell them out to the black market and they help do transplants for people that need them. Statistics. In the United States, about every 10 minutes or so, someone brand new is added to his waiting list for an organ transplant. About 122,000 people are on this waiting list and more growing every single day. On average, about 20 people die, 20 to 18 people die a day waiting for an organ transplant. And roughly 10,000 illegal organ transplants are committed every single year. So 10,000 under the radar organ transplants are happening around the world yearly. Some contributing factors to organ trafficking and why people do it is there's a shortage. There's too much demand and not enough supply. Primarily, people on the waiting list for organ transplants, what they need the most are kidneys. Kidneys are the most dominant factor for these organ transplants and the most sought after organ. People go to extreme lengths and pay extreme amount of money for organs, and the traffickers go to extreme lengths as well to get said organs to sell them to the black market or help transplant them for extra money. How do they get these organs? Well, they take advantage of people in poverty that are in great debt and need this money desperately. They also kidnap kids or manipulate them into giving up organs. This is a poor people because a lot of money to imagine $100,000 to a little kid is like $1 million to us, essentially, in their little heads. Also, doctors in the morgues, when they finish getting the body ready for the funeral and putting in the hole, they secretly take out some organs and they pocket it and give them out to other people for extra money. Who does it? Primarily, it's one big group of people that focus on organ trafficking, slash also human trafficking, because human trafficking is a big part of organ trafficking. Human trafficking is a whole different can of worms, essentially, because that is just live humans for slavery or whatever other nefarious needs people need human trafficking for. But it branches off into organ trafficking because these huge crime cartels like the cartel, the mafia, or even on the other side, the Chinese mafia, the Yakuza in Japan, they also dabble a little bit in organ trafficking because there's a lot of money they can make on the side. Another group of people that profit from this are corrupt doctors. They can, like I said, funeral homes, when they get the body ready for the funeral, get the body prepared, they can secretly cut it open, take the organs out, and sell it. No one's really gonna know because they're putting the tuxedo, they're putting the casket, they're putting a hole. No one's gonna know except the doctor who he sold the organs to. How to take advantage of the poor is they convince them to sell their organs for money. Because imagine you're poor, you're in debt, you desperately need money, and here comes this guy talking about, oh, give us one of your kidneys and we'll give you $100,000 or whatever they're asking for, and boom, your debt gets paid, you have a little extra money, you're not as poor as you were before. But this in turn also means you get scammed because on the black market, kidneys go for about $120,000, and these people are convincing these people to sell their organs for such less, and they don't know any better because obviously they don't know the black market, they don't know the ins and outs, they don't know the cost of it. Also, the way they can scam poor people is once they put them to sleep to cut the kidneys and pull them out, they can secretly take out other organs that weren't initially agreed upon, and the person who got the surgery to get the organs taken out won't know any better because they're asleep and they only know a couple of days. They go to the hospital and then that's it. They find out they're missing an extra thing they didn't agree upon, which in turn is also bad because they get the money for it and then scamming them. They also focus on children because it's easy to read children's files. If they're in an orphanage, it's easier to read their file on their blood type and everything that's going on in their body. Because let's say, yeah, a poor person gives up the kidney, but it's not an exact match someone needs. Because there's blood that goes into it, the blood type, the organ needs to make sure it fits properly, it works with the system, it functions properly with it. So they take advantage of the orphanages. In Israel, this is a huge issue for them right now, with children getting kidnapped from the orphanage. In America, it's not really a big issue going on right now with kidnapping, but in the orphanages in Israel, some of the nuns that work there, or even the people that own the building, they secretly sell these children to human traffickers or let them adopt them because they know in the end, no one's really gonna bat an eye from a missing kid because against an orphan, no one really is looking for them. And if they get adopted, that's it. They're never gonna be seen ever again. And it's easy to manipulate children. Like I said before, $100,000 to a little kid is like not even pocket change. Like they can't even like fathom what that is to them. So imagine they can scam them even more. 100,000, they could probably get their kidney for 50,000, and the little kid wouldn't even know any better because that's a lot of money to them. They can buy so much things, all these toys, all these things. That's why children are a big factor into organ trafficking because they primarily like to target them because how easy they are and they're easier to find the blood type and easier to get these right fitting organs that they need. The ethics behind it. People argue that organ trafficking, good or bad, is a big essential factor helping these people skip the waiting list. It's good, people argue, because again, they can just waste an extra couple cash. They get paid double what the hospital's offering to get an organ faster than they are waiting on the waiting list, or pay triple. And it's bad because they're manipulating, the organ traffickers are manipulating all these people and kidnapping all these kids and murdering or even harvesting more than what they agreed upon and scamming them, in turn hurting more just to help one person with a transplant. It does help them in the end, but they're paying extra money to skip a waiting list that other people are waiting patiently for, dying, waiting for. They can get the help they need faster. But like I said, it just takes advantage of others way too heavily, and it's not a very good thing going on in society. And what we do to fight this, there's a big group called the World Health Organization, the WHO, and they're one of the biggest groups fighting back against organ trafficking and human trafficking. In the United States, we have a lot of politicians and states advocating for more awareness, which is good because I feel personally there's not a lot of awareness going on in the media, the internet, and the news about human trafficking or organ trafficking in general. I feel like organ trafficking gets shadowed by human trafficking, which in turn is kind of the same thing essentially, but there's different branches. Also, there's a hotline you can call for human trafficking. If you see anything, you can call it to report it in the United States. Very helpful. In the media, we see a lot of examples of organ trafficking, even if it's comedic, like in Family Guy. There's a skit where one of the people give up their kidneys and they wake up in a bathtub full of ice. That's a very common joke, with the exception that people wake up in a bathtub, there's kidneys missing or extra organs. In Squid Game, the main guy joins the Squid Game because he's in debt, and someone says, "Oh, give us your organs for the money that you owe us." In turn, they're going to take from him to pay back his debt. And other media shows the same thing. They usually show they look up an ice bath because it's comedic. It's just the most common thing to show. In conclusion, I personally feel like organ trafficking should be brought more to light than what it is. I personally don't really see anything on the news or in the internet. I only saw a bunch of things reading about it because I researched it. Other than that, I don't really hear about it or even so-called like see anything about it in the internet or news. And organ traffickers, they convince people around them and even themselves that what they're doing is a noble act and good for society and good for everybody. But in turn, it really isn't, because again, they're scamming people, they're hurting people, they're hurting the society. Imagine you get scammed, you're missing more organs which you agreed upon, you get paid for it, and next thing you know, they're gone, they're missing a kidney or even two kidneys, and that's end result. You're probably gonna need a transplant yourself. But people do think it's a good thing. Other people argue for it. Obviously, people arguing for it are people that already got the transplant and paid extra for it. They're arguing that's a good thing because it skipped the waiting list. and they paid extra for it. But in reality, it's not really a good thing. Like I said, scamming is hurting people, primarily children, the poor people. A better system, it should be in play. Like right now in China, death row inmates, once they get killed, their organs are taken out, all of them, all their organs taken out, and they give them to the hospitals to give out and use for transplants in China. But currently, they're trying to pass a bill that gets rid of this, where death row inmates don't get their organs taken out anymore. People are fighting for it because a big issue in China is organ trafficking, and they implemented this rule earlier to prevent this. But now that they're getting rid of the rule, it's going to bring back up the crime rate and organ trafficking in general in China. Another thing is only 65% of registered drivers in America are organ donors. And I personally feel that if we got those numbers up to 80% or even 75, we can greatly diminish the waiting list or even deaths a day that are happening because they're on these waiting lists for organs. Because once you die, you don't really need your organs. You're gonna be in a hole or even burned. So once you're in the hole, those organs are gonna be rotting away. It's better use if you give them away to somebody that can desperately need them, save a life, and before you even get burned, they can just cut a little hole in you, flip them out, and then burn you. There's no harm, no foul. It's you in turn helping people if you're an organ donor. My references, and I want to end my presentation with a question. Would you consider selling an organ for $100,000? Me personally, if I knew for 100% guaranteed that I'll be only missing one organ that I agreed upon, I might do it. 100,000. That's a lot of money that I wouldn't mind having in my bank account. And that's the end of my presentation.